That white powder in the bucket is not the mineral supplement in the jug with the antlers on the label. It's plain livestock salt from the farm store, $10 for a 50-pound bag, about $2 a sight. Put it on the right dirt in June, and 2 weeks later you'll have does, fawns, and every buck on the property standing on that spot at last light, licking the ground like cattle. At least that's June. Do the same pour in October and you get an empty stump, and in a lot of states, a citation. The whole thing runs on sodium. In June, the woods are wet and green, and everything a deer is eating, clover, soybean leaves, fresh browse off the stump sprouts, is loaded with water and potassium and nearly empty of salt. All that potassium and water flush sodium out of the animal faster than the food puts it back. So the deer go looking for salt hard. The National Deer Association points out that almost every soil more than 25 or 50 miles from a seacoast runs low in sodium, which covers the Northwoods and most of the country you hunt. Pour a concentrated pile of it into bare dirt and you've made the only salt for a mile. That same $2 bag is also what puts a warden's truck in your driveway, and what a University of Wisconsin lab went looking for in the soil at Deer Licks. We'll get to both, and to the reason the old hands used a salt hole as a survey and then hunted 150 yards away from it. In June, though, it just looks like the best trail camera spot you ever had. I'm Donna Larsen. What I bring you is deer camp knowledge, the woodsmanship the old hands of the Northwoods worked out over a lifetime of seasons, gathered from how those camps actually hunted, and told the way it gets told around a camp table. Plain, honest, and no gear ad attached. The deer haven't changed. The marketing has, so sit tight. Deer camp tradition holds that a salt hole is a spring and summer thing and nothing else. The old hands watch their licks get torn up in May and June, go quiet toward the end of August, then sit there all gun season with oak leaves blowing across a hole nothing had touched in months. Somebody eventually counted. Weeks and Kirkpatrick studied lick use in Indiana back in 1976, and the numbers came out in that exact shape. Use peaked in the spring, it fell off through the summer and the fall, and in January, February, and March, they recorded no activity at all. Not light activity, none. Which makes sense once you think about what's in a whitetail's stomach in October. The green stuff is finished. He's on acorns and standing beans and picked corn, all fat and starch. His body has quit hollering for sodium, and he's stacking weight for a Northwoods winter. Then the rut arrives, and a mature buck cares about exactly one thing, and it is not the salt hole. So the fellow who dumps a fresh bag on a stump in October and sits over it is on the one patch of ground his deer quit caring about back in August. Then he tells everybody at the supper club that minerals are a scam. The pour in that thumbnail is real enough. What nobody prints on the bag is the calendar that goes with it. Now, that season clock is its own trick in a book called Donna's Whitetail Bible, because this got taught across a camp table and hardly a word of it was ever written down. 101 field-tested whitetail tricks out of a lifetime of Northwood seasons, set down plain for the hunter who does the basics right, and still walks out empty-handed in November. It's organized around the problems that actually cost hunters deer, turning a nocturnal camera buck into a daylight shot, telling honest signs from lying signs, and the cheap field substitute for the expensive gadgets on the wall at the sporting goods store. One book against one wasted tank of gas out to a dead stand. You can do that math yourself. Now go ahead and grab your phone and open up your camera, the same one you used to take pictures. Point it at that square code on your screen and hold it steady for a second. A little link will pop up, give it a tap, and it will take you straight to the book. And if you're watching on your phone right now, the link is waiting for you right down below in the description. Take your time, there is no rush at all. I'll wait right here. All right, now here's where this gets legal, and this is the part I need you to actually hear. In Wisconsin, the law doesn't say corn. It says bait is the intentional placement of any material, including food, scented materials, salts, minerals, and grains to attract wild animals for hunting purposes. Salt is in there by name. That white bucket out of the cattle aisle is bait in the eyes of the state. Same as shelled corn. And Wisconsin shuts baiting and feeding down county by county over chronic wasting disease. When a wild or farm-raised deer tests positive in a county, that county falls under a 3-year ban. If the positive turns up within 10 miles of a county line, the neighbor county gets 2 years. A new positive resets the whole clock. So the ground you legally baited last fall can be closed this fall, and nobody mails you a letter about it. Michigan went further. Baiting has been off the table across the Lower Peninsula since 2018, and Michigan's regulations count a salt block as bait right along with the corn. So check your own state's rules before you carry a bag into the woods every year, and check the county page, not just the season booklet. Some states let you run a salt site all summer for watching deer, then turn it into a violation the day the season opens. Some make you pull it and wait a stretch of days before you can hunt that ground. None of it is worth a license over $2 of salt. There's a second reason to go light, and the old hands never had to think about it because the disease wasn't in these woods yet. In 2018, a team out of the University of Wisconsin tested soil and water at mineral licks in the southern part of the state and found chronic wasting disease prions right there in the dirt. First time anybody had pulled prions out of environmental samples at a spot where deer gather. Their conclusion was plain. A lick can act as a reservoir for the disease and help move it along. Think about what a lick actually is. Every deer in the neighborhood puts its tongue and its nose in the same 8 square feet of dirt, week after week, leaving saliva behind. And the Wisconsin DNR will tell you those prions stay in soil a long time. You're welcome to argue with me on that, and plenty do. But the honest camp position is one small site. Run a couple of months in the summer where it's legal, then pulled and left alone. Not a feeding station and not 8 holes on a 40. All right, say you're in a state and a county where this is legal. The old hands would fix the first part of that title before you ever open the bag. You don't pour it on the trail. A trail is where deer walk, and what you want is a place where they stop. Far enough off the trail that they stop somewhere you can watch without your boots tramping up and down their travel route to get there. 20 or 30 yards off a good trail in shade, on heavier soil rather than sand, with cover close by. Reach it from the field edge or the 2 tracks so you never walk the trail itself. Rake the leaves off down to bare dirt, about 3 feet across, then work the salt into that soil. Don't set a block on a rock and walk off. The National Deer Association points at research showing blocks are the least effective way to get minerals into a deer, and there's a reason for that. They want the dirt. They'll eat the soil to get the salt out, and a pile worked into the ground gives them exactly that. Wet it down or set it before a rain so it works into the ground instead of blowing off the top. Salt leaches down over time, which is why deer paw those holes a foot deep and why one refresh in midsummer keeps it going. Then hang the camera. Point it north so the sunrise and sunset don't wash your pictures out, and set it back about 10 feet, waist high, so you get the whole animal and the fawns behind her instead of one wet nose. Now here's where those $2 actually earn out, and it isn't the pretty picture. June and July are the one window all year where you can count your deer, honestly. Bucks are in velvet and running in bachelor groups, and velvet racks are easy to tell apart. Does have fawns tucked in behind them. Nothing is chasing anything, and nothing's been shot at since November, so don't sit at the kitchen table looking for one giant. Sort those pictures 3 ways: how many individual bucks you actually have, which does bring twins, and above all, the timestamp and which side of the site each deer walked in from. That last one is the whole prize. A lick is a stop sign, and a deer has to come from somewhere to reach it. 10 days of pictures will show you the same 4 deer coming in from the northwest corner between 8 and 9 at night and going back that way before daylight. That's the bedding direction and the travel line handed to you for free without walking in there and blowing them out. And the dusk in that title is real, but not for the reason it sounds. Up here in late June, it's still shooting light at 9 at night. So of course that buck is on his feet in daylight. Come the last week of October, he walks that same line at 11. Folks call that going nocturnal. He's the same deer on the same trail with a lot less light to do it in. So put the whole thing together, because the salt was never the point of the salt. In June, where it's legal, you build one site 25 yards off a good trail and hang a camera on it. Through July and August, you learn your deer, and better than that, the corner they come in from and the hour they do it. Then well before the opener, you quit refreshing it and let that spot go cold. And in October, you don't hunt the salt hole at all. You take the travel line that camera drew for you, walk it back toward the bedding 150 yards, and put your stand on the downwind side where the cover thickens. Now you're meeting that buck closer to his bed, where he's still moving in daylight, on a trail he's used since June. And there's nothing on the ground for a warden to look at. That's why the old hands thought of a salt hole as a survey and nothing more. You didn't buy a buck on a stump at dusk for $2. You bought his address and his schedule. And in the last week of October, those are worth more than anything on that wall. Dad always said the deer don't care what you spent. That whole sequence, the June salt, and the stand 150 yards back down the trail in October, is written down plain in Donna's Whitetail Bible, with nothing in it you have to buy. Now go ahead and grab your phone and open up your camera and point it at that square code on your screen, and hold it steady for a second. A little link will pop up, give it a tap, and it will take you straight to the book. And if you are watching on your phone right now, the link is waiting for you right down below in the description. Now, if you enjoyed this video, you will enjoy the video right now on screen even more. I can assure you on that. Click it right now, my friend.